Live from New York, it's Ask an Engineer.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Ask Engineer. It's me, Lady Ada, with me, Mr. Lady Ada, on camera control. And we're broadcasting live from downtown Manhattan. That's where we do our engineering and designing and coding and supporting and all the stuff that you love to do with electronics. It's all coming to you right from New York City. But tonight we're going to spend the next 50-ish minutes, 60 minutes, talking about new products and guides and tutorials and the latest in Python and open source hardware and more. Then get right into it because we got a jam-packed show. Mr.
Yep.
Lady Ada, what's on tonight's show?
On tonight's show, it's Translator, 10% off the native for all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. You use it or lose it. It gets you free stuff and more things that you need
And want.
for your maker hobby. We'll talk about the free stuff. We'll go over what live shows we do, talk about a little bit of show and tell, Disc of Lady Ada, Great Search, JP's Workshop, including product pick of the week. We'll do a highlight. We'll have some main factory footage. We're doing a catch-up week, so we'll have a couple 3D printing videos and speed-ups. We have Ion MPI, brought to you by DigiKey, and this week it's a product from DigiKey. We have a whole bunch of top secret. We're going to be spending a bunch of time on that. We got new products. We're going to answer your questions. We do that on Discord, adafruit.it/discord. And as of right now, we have 39,000 people. It's one of the biggest online electronic communities in the world. So thank you, everybody. We spent a lot of time keeping it moderated, keeping it safe, keeping folks working well together, and it's a safe place online where people can just hang out and talk about electronics and more. So we'll be going over all this and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer.
Yep.
Okay, so translators, the code, Lady Ada, people get free stuff. What do they get?
That's right. When you order from the Adafruit shop, we will give you free things. Not only do you get that 10% discount code, but when you order $99 or more worth of stuff, you'll get this beautiful PCB coaster that keeps your hot drinks hot and your cold drinks cold and your desk nice and dry. Comes with 4 little rubber bumpers too to protect your desk from being scratched. $149 or more, you get this KB2040. It's a Pro Micro pinout compatible microcontroller board featuring the RP2040 chip. And it's got buttons and NeoPixel and lots of flash and STEMMA QT port. It's all ready to go. Great microcontroller board. Free UPS ground shipping for orders $199 or more. And $299 or more, we still have our free Circuit Playground Express all-in-one development board. It's great for learning electronics and doing coding and wiring stuff up without needing anything else extra. You just need this board and a micro USB cable, and you can use Arduino or Code.org CS Discoveries, CircuitPython, MicroPython, TinyGo, kind of everything.
Yeah. Okay. We didn't host a show and tell. No, Pedro did this week. Thank you so much. Do watch the latest Desk of Lady Ada. We had it on Sunday. We're not going to do a highlight this week because we got a bunch to go through. So it's on all the places we published our videos, including the great
With testers and stuff.
Yeah. And then we're 2 weeks behind on JP's product pick of the week, only because we had the unboxing last week.
Yeah.
So here is last week's highlight.
It is a Stemma analog SPDT switch Metro, and it is running over the Stemma for power, ground, and signal to the analog switch board. And then I have this orange wire is one audio input, this white wire is a second audio input, and then the green is the output for the audio, whichever one I'm switching to. And that's all going into a little powered speaker. Both of those audio sources are running into the normally open, the normally closed switch. So here's every 4 seconds, the sound should switch. Switches to iPod, switches back to Mario there. Now make it a lot faster. So kind of like a little DJ fader is the Stemma analog SPDT switch with the Max 4544 chip.
Okay, and tomorrow is JP's Workshop, and then on Friday, Deep Dive with Scott at 2 p.m., 5 p.m. Pacific. Next up, it's Whippersnapper Wednesday. We have some updates from the IO team and more. A couple things that they've been up to. Let's go over to it. What you can do right now, which is exciting and interesting, is use Blockly for actions on
Yes.
IO. So please help us test this out. You can now build just about any kind of IoT device using an IO feed dashboard. And now you can add more logic with actions.
And this is the beginning.
Yeah, you can use
So-
the blocks now too.
Yeah, so what we did is basically we had this system where you could have like email me when a value goes above or below a thing, whatever. And all we've done so far is create that dialog box that had like all those drop downs in Blockly. And then what we're going to do after we kind of get this all stabilized and people test it is we're going to add more blocks. You can actually start doing more complicated behaviors, like doing math or like, not comparing multiple feeds together and like more than one feed and then like writing to a feed, reading from a feed. So you can we can like already this is more powerful than the original actions dialog box, but we're going to add even more because we were like, we want to have people always wanted to have a little bit more scripting capability, but we didn't want to create like a new scripting language. And Blockly is great because it like works within the browser and you can use it on mobile.
Yeah.
So
if you want to do
cool.
actions, but you don't want to maybe dive into it too much, you can use Blockly.
Yeah. And you can like send SMSs and emails and update feeds.
The
It's
Itsy
pretty cool.
Bitsy ESP32 is now on Adafruit.io.
Yep.
And Whippersnapper, you can see the board there.
New board.
Yep.
New Whipper.
Yeah. We have usage documentation for Whippersnapper components.
Please.
Look at all the documentation links.
So
links.
many links.
And then if you want to help us add new features to Adafruit.io, a little bit of a reminder, we're not a software as a service company. We have free Adafruit.io. There's pro versions for people or plus versions, people who want to use it well outside.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. We don't make money on Whippersnapper.
No, we don't.
Adafruit.io. It is not in any way a profit center.
No.
We spend way more money on it, but we think it's worth it because the community loves it.
Yeah. And that's why it's not going away because
we're not, like no VC will want it.
It's not going away because it's not like, oh my god, we need to get more subscriptions or else. So please use it, please check it out, and of course spread the word.
That said, do support it if you can because it does help pay the bills.
Yeah, that always helps. Okay. So that's what Whippersnapper was. Check it out on the blog and more. Good work, Brett. Okay. Let's go over to our newsletter that we just were talking about right before we got on air. Python on hardware time.
Yep.
Let's kick it.
Blinka blinka. Is there a theme song for this?
There could be.
Could be. Blinka blinka. Your eyes are purple.
Okay. Every week, Anne and team deliver one of the best and only Python hardware newsletters in the world. Thousands of subscribers. You send your projects and more this week. In addition to CircuitPython 9 release.
Actually, it's 901 was since this was published.
Yeah, there's 901.
Lots of bug reports coming in. Keep sending them in. We know that people are actually starting to use 9. We're taking feedback. We're updating things. It's software. Numbers are meaningless, but still, try out 9.
Okay. And then this week we wanted to talk about...
This is cool.
TinyUSB.
Okay, so MicroPython. So one of the things is this is like a throwback. So when I tried the original MicroPython, one of the things that I thought was so awesome about the Pi board was that it showed up as a USB drive and you could like save files to it. And I was like, this is so cool. That when we were doing our MicroPython port support, we wanted to add MicroPython to all of our hardware and we started porting it over. Like one of the things I told Scott, who was the one lone lead developer, I said, we have to have this capability where you have native USB support. And I was like, I wanted like MIDI, I wanted HID, so keyboard and mouse, because this is one of the things I loved about Arduino, but it was really hard to use. So one of the really cool things that we were able to do is Tack, who works at Adafruit, has this big project called TinyUSB. And TinyUSB is, basically the idea is to have a USB stack that is universal for host and device that works with any chip. And we needed this because historically, the way every chip would work is every company would have their own USB stack and it would be completely incompatible with anybody else's. And so the Pi board was an STM32 and that supported USB device, but like no other MicroPython board did. And like to add support was really complicated because again, it was like every stack was its own thing. But with CircuitPython, we very quickly moved to having, I think we initially, the first release, like 1.0, used the SAMD21 native stack, but then we immediately we're like, oh my God, this is gonna be impossible to maintain. We moved to TinyUSB, and that's why in CircuitPython, pretty much every device, if it has native USB support, then you will get keyboard, mouse, MIDI, USB disk, USB, a second serial port, and now you can do custom HID devices too. We have a project coming soon, which is going to be a custom HID device, which is kind of neat. All because we have Teeny USB universal across all of the CircuitPython ports. And what's great is I love it when we do something and then that stuff ends up going back into MicroPython because it's this cool ecology. Like MicroPython does stuff, we do stuff, we share, we go back and forth. So MicroPython, because they have added Teeny USB support for so many of their ports, including the RP2040, which is using Teeny USB, they're now supporting native USB devices as well. And so one of the things that I think people really wanted for the RP2040 was keyboard support. So you can act like a keyboard. You can now do that thanks to Teeny USB. Thanks, Tech.
All right. Good overview.
So good. Good stuff.
All right, so check it out. You can get this every week delivered at adafruitdaily.com. We have a completely separate website. We don't spam people. We don't sign up for newsletters. It's on adafruitdaily.com. You have to go there and sign up for it. And it's delivered every single week to your inbox. Let's do some guides and more, Lady Ada, since we're talking about open source.
Can we go, guys? Yeah.
We have 2,999 guides right now.
No.
Yeah.
Scroll down to the bottom. I don't believe you.
299. Yeah, man. Almost 3,000. Yeah.
How many till we get to 3,000?
One.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Wow.
You know, I have to, you know, there was a guide I wrote, but I never finished it. But you know what? Maybe Jepler's guide will be the 3,000th guide.
Could be.
Good guide. Okay, he's coming up with a guide real soon. But speaking of 2,999 guides, wow, 2,999.
Yeah.
Big
All right.
deal. Good eyes, because I didn't catch that.
Highlight. This week.
Okay, Nine Pedro did a project with the Pico Bell doubler, making a little like case brick that you can use it with Lego plates. Also made a little battery pack too. I think this will be kind of handy. People want to do projects with Raspberry Pi Pico or Pico W and like a Pico Bell. Now you can attach it to brick type stuff. We saw somebody, I think on Hacker News, posted a project where they were controlling an Elgato light. Turns out that these lights actually have like a REST interface over Wi-Fi, and I was like, this is a perfect CircuitPython project. So they made a little light controller in CircuitPython using the TFT feather. You can use the buttons to select the brightness or the color temperature. Very easy, really easy demonstration of how to interface with something that has a REST interface. We also have the guide for that Pico Proto doubler. There's also this guide for this single plate. They're kind of similar, but they're different enough. Oh wait, no, keep going back up. And then Aaron has a guide on these very cool reactive paper lanterns. I think that's new as of this week as well.
Yeah. And we're going to play a little short video. Aaron.
Make your home dance to the music of the spheres. Create a strand of magical, addressable lights with Adafruit NeoPixel rings. Paper lanterns reflect and enhance the glow, creating a lovely backdrop for your home or garden. Take the animations to the next level with LED Effects, a free, open-source software program that uses your computer's microphone or native sound to make these lights sound reactive. This project requires some tricky soldering work, but no coding. See the full build tutorial at learn.adafruit.com, and remember to subscribe if you love making beautiful things.
Okay, let's do some factory footage. that is how it's made. Okay, so we're going to do some 3D printing videos. We're going to play them back to back to back to back to back. So we're going to do the IoT.
Oh, right, because that's,
Birdhouse, yeah,
that's a new guide too.
Yeah,
Shoot,
yeah.
there's actually a couple extra
Yeah,
guides.
so we're going to play these all back to back, and we'll see you on the other side.
You can develop Raspberry Pi Pico W projects with Adafruit's Pi Cowbell proto boards. The Pi Cowbell Doubler features Stemma QT, a reset button, socket headers, and LiPo battery charging. It's also got an on-off switch, extra ground and voltage pins, and optional support for alkaline batteries if you don't want LiPo rechargeables. The slim socket headers keep a low profile with access to all of the ports, not to mention visible labels on the pinouts. Make your project portable with a LiPo battery and charge it using the Pico's USB port. We designed and 3D printed LEGO-compatible mounting plates for prototyping your projects with bricks and plates. Just snap the proto board onto the built-in standoffs and slide a LiPo battery into the protective sleeve to get started. We think it's a nice and easy way to add extra boards like the Pi Cowbell DVI board for outputting to an HDMI display. Get the full pinouts, demo code files, and documentation from the product guide at learn.adafruit.com. The screensaver demos for the Pi Cowbell DVI are available as UF2 files, so installing is as easy as drag and drop. You can 3D print the mounting plates in your favorite PLA filament. The plates are separated into two parts to prevent from having to use any support material. We hope this inspires you to check out Adafruit's Pi Cowbell Proto underplates for building your next Raspberry Pi Pico project. You can build an internet-connected bird feeder camera with Adafruit I/O and CircuitPython. This project captures images of birds that you can view on an Adafruit I/O feed or dashboard. We designed and 3D printed a bird feeder to house the Adafruit Memento, a large battery, and a PIR sensor. It's got a tray for holding bird seeds and a perch so birds alike can visit and have a meal. A PIR sensor is connected to the Memento, and whenever motion is detected, a photo is taken and sent to an Adafruit I/O feed. The CircuitPython code connects the Memento camera to your Wi-Fi network and uses the Adafruit I/O API to get a feed from your account. When the PIR sensor detects motion, the Memento takes a photo and sends a JPEG to Adafruit I/O. On the Adafruit I/O website, you can view the image within seconds of it being captured. Using the Adafruit I/O Actions feature, you can receive email notifications whenever a new photo is uploaded. Our build features a large battery that has about 8 hours of runtime, and it can be recharged over the Memento's USB port. We found the bird feeder isn't exclusive to just birds. Squirrels and chipmunks are fans too, and they seem to be more photogenic. We hope this inspires you to check out the Adafruit Memento for your next internet-enabled camera project. You can develop Raspberry Pi Pico W projects with Adafruit's Pi Cowbell.
Okay, I think I played one video for a second out of order. Sorry. Can always watch all these
Yeah,
videos.
we love this stuff.
Yeah, so it's so good. It's so nice. Watch it twice.
Okay.
All right, let's do some MPI.
On MPI.
Eye on MPI brought to you by DigiKey and Adafruit. This week the product is from DigiKey.
Whoa. Ooh, sneaky.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this week I'm going to show off the DigiKey standard toolkit. So it's from DigiKey, but it's kind of like it's actually cool. So I thought like I'd show it off. Okay, so let's go check it out. So this is their photo. So this is the little reminiscent of like the Adafruit, like we have a Lady Ada toolkit. This one has a little bit more stuff in it. And I also like that it comes in a really nice blow molded tote with like some cool bolts and stuff on it. And it's got the new DigiKey branding as well. So it's like a little latching tote we see, and it's got DKS TK1. So I've noticed that, you know, ever since DigiKey started doing they did like a branding revision for stuff that's on dash between Digi and Key, but also they're releasing more products as like in-house brand, sort of like,
Yeah.
you know, when you go to like the grocery store or whatever, they're like, oh, we have the Whole Foods 360, whatever brand olive oil. So that's good because it's like DigiKey will be able to get you stuff that is at a really good price. And it's like standard items. Like they're not probably not going to be making microcontroller chips, but they are going to have stuff like battery holders with connectors. So this is something that isn't actually available from like any of the standard battery holder vendors. So they're like, okay, we're going to make our own and sell it. They also have proto boxes with little like breadboards that fit inside. It's kind of reminiscent a little bit of Radio Shack. Used to have these sort of things, but of course, but they don't have them anymore. Well, DigiKey's got your back, a lot of different sizes, so check out these proto boxes. Also saw they've got heat shrink kits and stuff. This one, you know, also under the DigiKey standard brand. So we're probably gonna see a lot more items from, you know, DigiKey standard as they start. You know, they have this new warehouse. They have a lot of space. They probably want to fill it with all sorts of goodies. Let's go to the overhead and we'll check out this kit. So it's kind of big, but so it's got these latch connectors when we open. And then dun, dun, dun. Okay. So this is what you get. So what I like is everything has its own little spot. So when you take it out, oh, so make sure I don't spill drink. After you like remove it, there's a spot that you can put it back, and it like sits nicely in it, so you know where it goes and what you're missing, so you don't forget anything. So it comes with like kind of like a standard multimeter. Has DC, AC voltage, resistance, continuity, diode test, and current sensing. There's also, you know, it's got a little kickstand and little lead holders, and the leads are over here. They're nice leads, by the way. I'll show them to you. These are not like the stiff leads that you sometimes get. These are kind of nice, you know, nice and pointy and sharp. And you can like remove this if you want to have the long leads or just use the points. And then these are all Cat 3, so 600 volts. So that's kind of like, you know, for testing and stuff. It's not, there's a backlight, but there's no auto ranging, but like for, you know, if you want a low cost multimeter, that's what you get. You want a Fluke multimeter, DigiKey will sell you one for a couple $100. There's also soldering equipment. So they've got a Hacko Blue 40 watt 120 volt iron. I like that they, you know, it's a lower cost iron. It doesn't have adjustable temperature controls and stuff, but you know, it's going to be lead free since Hacko makes lead free stuff. You can change the tip out, and they give you an extra tip, which I think is really nice. And the tip is good for like heavy SMTs, like SOICs. 1206s, 0805s. I think you could probably do maybe 0603s, and definitely through hole. So you can plug it in, and you know, like I said, there's no on-off switch, but that's, you know, for a beginner kit, that's fine. And then they've upgraded the little holder. Like this usually comes with a little holder that doesn't have a sponge, but this one does, which I like. So you can clean off. You can put water in it and then clean it off. It's a nice little stand. 50 grams of solder. I would recommend, if you're going to pick this up, also get some more solder, because you will run out. You know, it's very fast. You put together like one kit. So maybe get another 100 grams after this, or another like spool. It's worth it. Solder wick. This is a nice copper wick, and it's 2 millimeters wide, 2 millimeters wide, 5 feet long. You put it like this, and then you can pull it out. So it's kind of good. They put that in, as well as the standard solder sucker. Usually you only get one or the other, so I like that they include both, so you can actually like do some rework. There's the battery for the multimeter, comes with the battery, so you know it doesn't accidentally turn on or anything. And then over here, a really nice set of screwdrivers. So Phillips and flat, not too big. I like that they're the small tips. So 000 and 1 on the Phillips, and then 2.42, sorry, 2.4, 3 and 2, and they even say on the side what they are, which is nice. So you know, and then they've got the little rotating end, so you can you know, you press down while you rotate, so you don't have to strip the screws, and nice hardened tips. So extra nice set for the tools here, definitely. And then these also have little spots that they live in. Wire strippers. So these come with the slots. They're nicer than like the $2 ones that I started out with at MIT. This is the set that has larger holes. This is good for electricians, as well as, which I think is kind of the goal here, was like electricians, technicians, and makers. But it does go down to 24 gauge. So breadboarding wire and stuff will definitely be able to strip with this stripper. And then, yeah, it locks open. Locks closed or open. And then the tip can be used for bending. And then there's, I cut wire with this. But if you're dealing with heavier material, they also have diagonal cutter dikes. So this is definitely for like more intense cutting. It doesn't have spring. For most uses, you know, I would just use these. And then for wedging stuff, you got your drop forged needle nose pliers. So a nice kit for about $100. So I think I gave you the tour. And of course, it comes with a case as well, which I think is actually like, you'd be surprised. Like, cases are quite expensive, so definitely worth it. Especially given that you get the full case and everything to put it, you know, in, and then you can latch it and put it under your desk. So I think it would be good for makers and technicians.
DigiKey.
Oh, it's not DigiKey. Maybe you want to go back to us, or
Yeah, I was gonna go over here.
okay, yeah. It's in stock for about $100. Good for makers, students, definitely like your first soldering, you know, kit. You want to give a gift to someone, it's kind of a good gift. Schools, and maybe like offices where you're like, oh, I want to be able to do some quick repairs. You don't have like a full rework station. And this is, especially for the price, it's a good,
Also,
it's kind of a little bit of everything.
Here's the other thing. If you get something on Amazon, it's probably going to be junk. Sorry, it's true. But, you know, Amazon has all sorts of weird ways they kind of subsidize shipping. Not really, but you could get it for a good price plus low shipping.
Yeah, it's the details, like using a Hakko iron instead of like a cheap, like no name brand, I think is, for example, like most places, if you get, you know, you'll get like a $20 kit, but like the soldering iron will like break immediately. Like Hakko will, you know, it's inexpensive, but it's the best of the inexpensive.
Okay, this is
Okay.
this week's Iron Five. Good pick.
Yep.
Olympiad.
Okay, don't forget the code is translator. You get all these free things too, depending on what you put in your cart. But
Okay.
use the code, save a buck or two. Let's go to new products. First up,
We have an update to the motor shield. It's a very small update. Basically, I added a VIO register, VIO selection jumper. So if you're using it with 3-volt or 5-volt Arduino compatibles, it'll work. The logic level for the I2C will work either way, which I think people like. Otherwise, for 99% of people, you're not going to notice a difference. Also updated the silk screen. So this is now back in stock.
All right, Trinky.
Trinkies. Okay, I got a lot of SAMD21 E18s, and so we're going to see a bunch of Trinkies coming out. This is the first one. This is by request. Two versions of kind of the same Trinky. It's got the SAMD21 power supply, a little NeoPixel, a reset button, and then an SHT41, or on this one, we have an SHT45. This is basically, sorry, not basically. They are completely code compatible. In fact, your code can't tell which one you've got. The SHT41, I think, is like 1.8% humidity precision, and the SHT45 is 1%. So a little bit higher quality. Some people really want, the extra precision that you get with the SHT45. Either way, when you plug it in, this is an Arduino and CircuitPython compatible microcontroller board. You plug it in and it immediately starts spitting out the temperature and humidity data, which you can then
Cool.
use to plot or to graph
I need it for Diane.
on A4IO, or you can pipe that data into Excel, or you can log it with Python, or you can use it in Visual Basic, whatever. You just basically get the data coming out of USB is a comma separated value file. There's also a touch sensor on the end, that gold area. If you touch it, it's a sensor, so you can use it as a secondary input. If you want, there's a little keychain slot if you want to tie it to something. And it's just meant to be a very inexpensive way to just get precision temperature and humidity data into your computer. And you don't have to do any coding or soldering or wiring, because it's just like plug and play, ready to go. So I'll do a couple projects with this, but I think there's a lot of people who are like, oh, I just want to get temperature and humidity data. And then, of course, if you want it to be further away than your computer, just use a USB-A extension cable, which we have in stock. There's 3-meter ones, and then you can put this anywhere you like and measure the temperature and humidity that way.
Okay. This is probably similar.
This is the same thing, but this is the 45. So it's two versions. Blue is the lower precision, black is the higher precision. But again, code-wise, it's identical.
Okay. And then next up, one of my favorite companies, because it's a cause and a business.
Yes, I fix it. Always fighting for right to repair. They also make some really great products. So they were like, hey, we have new stuff you could carry. And I'm like, oh, yeah. We carry some of their spudgers and toolkits. So this is their magnetic mat with an ESD bin area. And so you can come to the marker, you can write on it. It's got this beautiful like blue architectural background. It also has these little bins at the top where you can put components, and it's ESD safe, so it's great for chips. And it's magnetic, so if you put screws and hex nuts and things, like they won't roll off and fly off into the middle of your room. They'll stay put, which I think is really nice. It's also apparently stackable, so if you have multiple of these, you can like put one on top of the other, and like your parts won't get disturbed. So I thought this was a nice upgrade. We already carry their magnetic mat, but this is kind of like an upgrade to the magnetic mat.
Okay, next up.
Next up, they also make a really nice anti-static strap, and they're like, this strap not only is it a very good anti-static strap, but it's will fit larger wrists than most off-the-shelf ones. They're like, oh, the ones that are often made for people working in Asia, which is kind of where a lot of electronic manufacturing is done. They're smaller wrists, but if you want bigger wrists, this one's adjustable. Don't forget, you have to clip the clip part to an earth ground. And a lot of electronics workbenches have like an earth ground exposed. Like you plug it into the wall to light the lamp, but then there's also a place you can clip your anti-static strap. So just don't forget you have to do that. You don't leave it dangling. It has to clip onto something. But once done, you can keep the wrist strap on and you are earth grounded.
Okay, next up.
Next up, we also have, it's a really great idea. It's a very inexpensive, simple tool. It's got a magnetic base, so of course you can like easily attach it to your desk. All it does is it like grips two little things, and it's a cool saying on the back, two wires, and now you can splice the wires together with soldering, and you don't have to like hold it with one finger and like your thumb is holding the solder and like your other hand is getting burnt because you slipped. And it's made of silicone, so it's you don't have to worry about accidentally melting it. So it's like a really nicely made wire holder splint for soldering cables, wires, or even like components if you want to like have solder tails on them. Probably also good for holding stuff while you're doing you're heating it up with heat shrink. So altogether a nice little tool. So
this is all handy.
Yeah, 3 very nice tools, like from iFixit.
Also, like if someone's just doing electronics,
These also look cool.
these are good things to get them going.
Yeah,
And
these
like,
are, and these are not included in that toolkit that we just covered on INFPI. So this
yeah.
would be a great addition.
And you know, if you want to support a company that's out there making right to repair an important thing for people to know about, support the company.
That's
how you do
right.
it.
I love them.
Okay. Next
Also
up.
great looks. Okay, now we got a whole bunch of Adafruit products. So the first one is, this is the TCRT 1000 breakout board. And you can see, I'll show the sensor later. Yeah, I'll actually go to this photo. Okay, so this one. On the end here is a right angle optical sensor, and there's like 2 little eyes, and they look so adorable. They're like little googly eyes, but really one is an IR transmitter and one is an IR photo transistor. What happens is that one half, the LED half, like beams out light, and then it bounces off some object and then will bounce back into the other eye, which gets detected, and then you know that there's something in front of the eye. It's basically an analog, proximity slash distance slash, obstruction sensor. Not meant for big distances. It's like good up to like maybe 5 millimeters or so. But what's nice is that, especially if the reason I got this is that if you're trying to measure something that's rotating and you have a reflective metal strip around it and then like a little black mark, like a Sharpie mark, it'll not reflect off that black mark. And so you'll know when it's spinning. So it's good for like detecting rotation, as well as proximity. So on the animation, you can see in the bottom left, there's a little red LED that says signal. So as you get closer, that'll get brighter and brighter because that's indicating that the amount of voltage that's getting generated from the reflected back light is higher. Is lower. It goes, yes, it goes down when something is nearby. So it's reverse polarity because it's a transistor. There's a potentiometer in the middle, so you can adjust the LED current. You can adjust it from 1 milliamp up to 100 milliamps, which is the max range. This is one of the few right angle optical reflective sensors. We have, some breadboardy ones, but you have to like connect the resistors and you have to wire it up. This is kind of all in one. It's ready to go. You can plug a JST PH 2 millimeter pitch cable in and just like you're ready to go. Or you can solder to the wires, to the pins on the board. Either way, this is a very easy way to get started with a photoreflective sensor.
Okay. And the Star of the Ships and besides you, Lady Ada, our customers, our team, and everybody who shares and make things go in this world.
Okay. This is the LTC. Oh my goodness, wait, now I have to remember the part number. Can you go to the back? I don't get this
Come on.
wrong. LTC 4316. Thank you. So I can go back here. Okay, so this is a really interesting chip from Linear, which means it's a little expensive, but it's interesting enough that maybe it's worth it. Now owned by Analog. So the LTC 4316 is an on-the-fly I2C address translator, which is why the code is translator. So if you use I2C devices, you probably have the experience of, I have a device that is I2C address OX38, and I can't change the address. It's, fixed. Sometimes you have little address jumpers, but usually not. So if you want to use 2 of them, or maybe you have 2 devices that have the same address, you can't share the same I2C bus. Every device has to have a unique address. This is going to be fixed in I3C, but we're not there yet. Still using I2C for a lot of stuff. Well, sometimes you have 2 I2C buses, just have 2 buses and each one, talks to each sensor. Sometimes that's not possible either. And so this chip is kind of a solution. So on the left side is the input port and on the right side is the output port. And so there's basically, it translates between the 2 buses, and in between is a little bit of logic that if it sees an address coming in from the left side, it will twiddle some of the bits before sending that address onto the right. And it only does this for the address bits, which means that basically the controller connected to the left side, your microcontroller, your Raspberry Pi, will see a different address on the device side, but the device has no idea. The device is like, it thinks like, hey, I'm good to go. So this is a little example just showing a QT Py board. Oh, can you like zoom out a little bit because it's a little cut off? I don't know if
Yeah,
that's possible. You know what I mean?
I can zoom out.
Or zoom. Yeah, you want to zoom out.
You want me to do this?
Yeah, because it was just because it's showing all the devices. Okay, so in this image, you've got on the top left a QT Py board, whatever has stemma QT I2C output. And then it connects to an HT20, which has a fixed address. It's a temperature humidity sensor. And then the translator, and then another HT20. And this stemma QT board, the controller, will see one on address OX38. That's the first one. And then through the translator, it'll see another one at address OX58 because you've flipped a couple of the bits. It's a very interesting chip, because again, it does it on the fly. You don't need to use a expander or multiplexer where you have to like tell it, no, I want you to change. It's like it's totally transparent to the controller. And the way you set the bits is if you click on the back. The only thing is to set the bits is a little bit weird. It uses voltage dividers, and there's a high divider and a low divider. And as I went through this in one of the videos, it's a little bit complicated. The upshot is I couldn't make it so you can change any bits easily. It would have made a gigantic board with like tons of switches and resistors. So instead, the board will always flip the highest bit address bit A6, and you can switch 4 or 5 with the dip switch on the front. So basically, every address will always have A6 flipped, and then you can also flip A4 or A5. So it basically gives you 4 options for different addresses, which I think will cover 90% of cases. And if you still need more address options, there's a little spot for the XORL, the low XOR bit, 3 bits, and you can solder in a 10K resistor or 50K resistor, 47K resistor, and it'll let you flip other bits as well, according to the data sheet, which is, check the data sheet. There's a table showing all the resistances you need and what bits will get flipped depending on the resistance. Interesting chip. A couple people asked for it. Again, it's not as inexpensive as a multiplexer, and a multiplexer will give you, up to 4 or 8 options. But this is, a nice transparent way of changing the address. So I thought it was kind of a cool hack. Another warning, I don't believe it supports clock stretching. So, because that's probably going to confuse the heck out of it. And secondly, it doesn't, it obviously doesn't support what's called multi-master, where there's bidirectional I2C. And the third thing it doesn't support is, thing to watch out for is the driver for the device has to let you select the new address. So if your driver has a fixed address in the firmware and you can't change it because it's not expecting you to be able to change it, because it was like, why would you have a different I2C address? You're going to have to go into the code and edit it to change that up. So, a couple things to watch for, but still a very cool, weird chip. So that'll be used for some people, and it's in the shop now.
Okay, don't forget to code translate Tor. Translate Tor, 10% off in the store.
Because of the translator.
Yeah, because it's translator. Okay, we have some questions lined up, but we're gonna do top secret, show some videos,
We have a
and
bunch
then
of videos.
show some stuff, and then
Yeah.
we'll do questions after. So let's just jump right in. All right, lady, what was this?
Okay, sometimes I have a lot of faith in humanity, and then sometimes I get products that have center negative. So you see here, I actually even use some Sharpie marker to really highlight this. The outer connector is positive and the center is negative, which is opposite the 99.9% of DC connectors. So if you look at, this is a 12 volt power supply, and I've got my multimeter here, and if I check this, like I said, 99% of products is center positive, 12 volts-ish. But then, what's this? This is a magical cable. It does exactly what you think. It's a flippy floppy reversey poppy. So now, when you check the polarity, it's center negative. Okay, very handy little cable. So I just finished testing it, so I'm going to try to get into the shop.
Okay, lady, what is this?
This is a USB Trinky, which has a temperature and humidity sensor. And this is a QT Py board with a USB host BFF attached. And then if I plug this in, and on the computer, you'll see that I'm getting the USB serial data from USB host through to the QT Py SAMD21. So if you look over here, the way this is working is a QT Py board, which is a USB device, is plugged into this on-the-go cable, into this micro B port on the BFF board. And then this is a USB host chip that does SPI to USB host. It's called the MAX 3421E. And what this does is allow something that only has one USB port to basically have a second USB port. This is a great demo because it just reads the serial data from here and then pipes it back out over USB, but it tests enumeration, it tests that it found the CDC device, and you can see a little LED telling me when data is being transmitted. So this is kind of fun. It could be a really good little board. You can solder it directly onto the back to save some space. And this will give you basically 2 USB ports. You can do USB host to device translation or conversion. That could be good for accessibility projects or keyboard mods, etc. This is almost working. One little fix I have to do for the power supply, and then I can get this into the shop.
All right, Lady Ada, what's this?
Okay, so during the part shortage, microchips sort of required that we book a year or two's worth of inventory. And so I ended up buying a lot of SAMD21s because we use a lot of SAMD21s. But then they shipped me like 2 years worth all at once. So now I've got like 50,000 SAMD21s. So you're going to see a lot of SAMD21 products coming out. Like this Trinky. This is the board, the SAMD21E. Plugs into USB, and it can run CircuitPython or Arduino or even MicroPython. And on the end here, you see this nice cutout with an SHT45. That's a precision temperature and humidity sensor. Oh, wait, hold on. There you go. Temperature and humidity. And there's also capacitive touch, a little NeoPixel, and a reset button. And this is the tester. So this is a Pico board that is able to program a SAMD21. It does it in about like 5 seconds. Ding dong. And test complete. All right, and this is ready to go into the shop. So it sends humidity, temperature, and the serial number of the sensor out over CSV. So it's going to be perfect for people who just want to get that data in to do data analysis or environmental sensing stuff. So nice little dev board.
All right, Lady Ada, what's this?
Okay, I'm testing out this new board I designed. This is a 38 kilohertz IR receiving decoder board. So what this has is 2 IR decoder chips, like one right angle and one like straight up and down. It's basically the same as these kind of like breadboard IR decoders. They look for 38 kilohertz IR remote signal and then they decode it. And what's important is they're actually kind of designed with the gain and the decoding logic to handle remote control specifically. So you can see when I press this remote button, it's telling me, okay, I got some signal. And then if you look at the Arduino output, I'm seeing NEC data being decoded. So this is good. This is working, and it should be a lot easier to mount. And of course, having 2 selectable decoders means you don't have to worry about bending this sort of sensor up and down. And I like that it tells you when it's getting signal as well from the IR LED. So this is ready to go.
All right, Lady Ada, what's this?
Okay, I just showed off my 38 kilohertz IR decoder, and this takes remote control messages that are encoded in 38 kilohertz infrared and decodes them. And this is a different breakout board. This is the TSSP 7738 demodulator. So it's the difference between a decoder and a demodulator. Well, if you look at the oscilloscope over there, you'll see the difference. So on the bottom, you see a 38 kilohertz on-off, pulse. Basically, I'm sending 38 kilohertz IR, and then I stop for 10 milliseconds on and off. And the demodulator can very easily detect when there is 38 kilohertz IR or not. But if I change this for a decoder, which is looking for infrared signals, it has like internal logic that's looking for valid infrared. So what happens is when I plug this in, you'll see it does detect it, but then it eventually disappears. I'll quickly plug it in and plug it. Oh, can you look at this? Yeah. So you'll see it's like, oh yeah, I found the signal, but then the internal logic is like, oh wait, that's not a valid infrared signal, and it turns off. So this is good for infrared remote signals, but it's not good for just detecting 38 kilohertz IR in general. For that, you need a demodulator, which could be used for non-infrared remote projects that still want to do infrared signaling.
Okay, cool. What are these?
Okay, so this is the board I just showed off in that video. So this is the IR demodulator. Doesn't have any smarts to it. All it does is look for 38 kilohertz infrared and then gives you the envelope output. So good for some people use this for like proximity or distance sensing or like other kind of weird sensing that uses a modulated IR but doesn't use infrared remote controls. And this is, we showed off this chip on the Great Search. I was looking for precision humidity and temperature sensors. And this is like incredibly high precision temperature humidity sensor from I think TI, the HDC 3021 and 20. I sent me a little breakout board for it. This is that PWM. I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I designed a little PWM output board because somebody was like, oh, I just need to generate like a 250 hertz or 25 kilohertz signal. I actually got the prototypes for these and I messed it up. I got to redesign this board. And then made a little mistake on this. So I'm also sending out new printers for it, but this is a USB host BFF. So you solder it onto the back of your QT Py board, and using the Max 3421E, it gives you an extra USB host port.
Just top secret.
It is very top, very secret.
Okay, we're going to do some questions and then we are going to bounce.
Okay.
You have some lined up. Here we go.
Okay.
First one, Chip will answer, but you can also answer this one. Does CircuitPython 9 socket stuff allow for more Ethernet targets more than WizNet?
There are not really any other chips that we support. So you could add other ones, but WizNet's the only one that we have drivers for right now.
Okay. Next up, for the iFixit, Matt, what kind of a marker would you use on a dry erase? Yep.
Yeah, I think so. Check. To be honest, I'm assuming it's a dry erase, but I'm sure iFixit has documented what kind of.
Okay.
Marker
Next question: is there a 38 kilohertz visible red receiver instead of IR, or 40 kilohertz or 56 kilohertz?
I've never seen a visible light module. You could make your own. But I don't know of any like off the shelf ready to go. I will say that the infrared sensors sometimes have a little bit of a wider band for the detection. And so, for IR, you might be able to get away with some red LEDs. It might actually, like, it gets triggered by light, you could probably try red and it might work.
Okay. This one was answered in the chat. Who handles CircuitPython download site? The ESP32 entries in the in-programmer page. They found that the bootloader.zip bundle was possibly missing. Maker Melissa is the one who handles that,
Yeah,
and just
she's
opened up
on
an
it.
issue on
Yeah.
GitHub.
She actually has been working on it lately.
And those folks just connected in chat, so that is how you do it.
Great.
Thanks, Melissa, for being in chat and answering it. Next up, since the Memento has ESP chip capable of Wi-Fi or ESP now, curious of the possibility of having two of them, sending captured image to the other one display. I thought how fast they could complete and be ready for another, maybe 5 frames per second. Purpose like completely offline doorbell.
I actually think it could, I think five or 10 frames per second, could be possible. Especially if it was only 240 by 240 and it was JPEGs, because then you just send over this 5K file over Wi-Fi and then display it using JPEG decode. So yeah, I think you do a couple frames per second. I don't see why not. It's totally possible. It's not a project we've done yet.
Okay, and then where to put the issue if you see something on CircuitPython download site is just github.com/adafruit/circuitpython-org/issues. Next up, MXC sense distance for the TCRT 1000, a few inches, I guess.
I think it's like 5 millimeters. It's a trend. It's a reflective sensor. It's not actually, you can use it for proximity, but it's really for detecting white or black stripes on like something passing by.
And then if you sign up for AdaBox now, which one does it start off with?
22.
22. We'll be shipping that one probably this summer.
This summer.
Yeah. Okay. I think, let me check the questions. What's a simple way to weatherproof a project? I'll say this. You could probably do weather resistant. I'm always reluctant to say waterproof or weatherproof. I'd say resistant because weather is pretty intense. However, check out our guide on Learn. We have a lot of making things water resistant. There's sprays, there's coverings, there's depending on
Enclosures.
there's enclosures. Depending on what it is, we have an entire guide. I think there's an old video of me getting like doused with water too for different things. But enclosure is kind of the best thing with some of the gaskets.
Yeah.
That's generally speaking, that's kind of the best thing.
But you have to be careful. You can't make one mistake when the water gets in.
Yep. Okay, and with that, those are questions.
Okay, thanks everybody. It's 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
We did it.
Okay, that's our show for the night. Don't forget the code is translator. All the free stuff is there. This has been an Adafruit production. We will see everybody next week. This is your moment of Zener.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great